definitely one of the lesser-known players in the entire tournament, so definitely had some pretty strong opponents in his group as well.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this just a little bit previously, you know, like earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that I personally enjoy a lot about WESG. There's room for a lot of these guys that I don't think a lot of people have really heard of to, you know, make their mark, set their footprint in history. And perhaps this is where Drager is going to be able to pull that out. But I mean, right now, it's looking very tough. He's down 0-3 in his group already.
Yeah, he was, and that was earlier on.
Yeah, so maybe this is like, you know, he's on his last ropes perhaps with this game.
This is his second to last game.
Okay, yeah.
He plays up against Stefano after this, looking at our schedule. So
okay, that's gonna be another tough mountain to overcome, to say the least.
yeah, definitely true. And he only now sees the Nexus first, which is why he didn't overcommit to lots of lings. He only made 2. Here they are. Does get the speed. Just a bit of a safer opening, it looks like, with what he went for.
And nothing crazy. Stargate opening here from Drager, though. I'm a huge fan of the Stargate, Valdez.
Oh, and he's going to see it.
Oh, okay. I'm not so much a fan of the Stargate anymore, Valdez.
I don't like it anymore. It's not a secret. It's not cool anymore.
No, I mean, honestly, though, like, even though the Stargate gets scattered, it obviously still has some utility. But the Oracle, you're not going to get any damage with it unless the Zerg screws up, like, significantly. Even loses a probe. That to me, like, that's no actual damage, honestly, but it's more like a psychological thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a small amount of damage that it doesn't really matter. Like, the 2 lings are going to be useless, but the 1 probe would be kind of nice. But 1 probe and damage is, you know, not bad.
I mean, it equalizes, but it's, like I said, it's more like about the mental game that StarCraft 2 also is.
Yeah.
It's more about the mechanics on the keyboard and the clicking. It's also, you know, mentality is super important. Like the way you feel as you come into the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just tilting. You know, you never want that to happen. It's
I mean,
like,
so many ladder games, man. Just like, those 2 lings get in, get 1 probe, and just like, screw it. F10N.
I'll just go into the next name. I don't care about my MMR.
Yeah, and then you just drop like 200 in an evening.
Yeah.
And you start playing League of Legends instead. But anyway, first Oracle now
move over to Smite. You're like,
oh my god.
I got to go for something easier than this.
It just goes downhill from there, dude.
There's like 1 Smite player in the chat that's so offended by that. He's like,
oh my god! How dare they?
Can't believe you would say that.
He starts boycotting StarCraft, but Oracle not finding all too much. This is kind of cute. I like it that he, you know, oh well, there already sports rollers up. Oh, needs to be careful though. He's doing a lot of damage. Oh,
and he's going to fly right back into the Queen, and that is going to go down. So, not really getting any damage done, and the Fleet Beacon is on the way. Is it going to be extremely fast carriers? They are pretty strong against Zerg.
Yeah, but I'm not a big fan of 2-base carrier builds, especially not on a map like Overgrowth where it's so easy to get across quickly.
I feel like Drager is just in this position where he knows he cannot make it to the next stage, and he's just like, you know what? Let's just make carriers, because why not?
He's just like YOLOing at this point, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. You summed it up very well. And, I mean, this Stalker is going to go down. He's not able to squeeze by, but he kills a Stalker, a Zealot. This pylon is going to go down.
Oh, Lings get in. Yeah, they're going to see the Fleet Beak. Oh, yeah, there we go. Down, bounces right back up in there. And just for good measure, he's going to kill a couple of additional probes if he gets 1. Look at that. Yeah. Oh, almost.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he sees no third base. He sees the Fleet Beacon. He knows exactly what is happening. And what is going to be the response when the lair comes out? Probably a Hydralisk Den.
Yeah, I think he could just, like, honestly, I think he could just go for a Hydra in. Off of these 3 hatcheries, just end the game.
Perhaps, yeah.
Hydrolings.
Hydra-Bane.
Hydra-Bane, yeah.
Or Ling-Bane?
Yeah, it doesn't even need the Hydra Bane. There's an opening.
Mind.
It's right in there. Photon Overcharge goes down, but the Ling's ravaging the natural expansion. Probes come off the lines. The only fighting units Drager has. A single Zealot, 1 Adept. He has 1,200 minerals in the bank.
He's got a carrier, though, so... Oh, he's got 2 carriers. My bad.
The numbers game is very important here, Valdez.
But carriers are cool, Tenshi.
Dude, they're super cool, man, but they're not cool enough. Not when you've lost 16 workers and
yeah.
this.
Oh, a Nidus network.
Ah,
I had a
ooh,
feeling
queen.
this series was going to be fun, and it's kind of living up to the hype so far.
No, yeah, definitely. Additional queens in production, +1 ranged attacks as well. So I mean, he's just gonna go for the Nidus queen. We'll see how they measure up against the carriers. Does he have Graviton Catapult yet? The
No.
no. Oh, okay. Well, that's like a super key upgrade because it like effectively increases the DPS of your carriers by I think like 25% or something because you just get everything downrange so much quicker. But don't quote me on that anyway, guys. I don't have the hard numbers, but
it's definitely something you want if you're going for a high number of carriers, which he is. I mean, that's his only unit. Outside of this one adept, he's going to have 4 carriers. Oh, he's going for a Tempest. Interesting. Here comes the Nidus, though, and this is totally unscouted. Has no idea this is on the way. Perhaps he will see it. Well, he's going to see all the lings coming across. And here we go. The drones coming in. He's going to make some spores.
Look at how slowly these carriers are shooting out those interceptors. The queen actually not being transfused. Erik, you've got the energy for it. They're going for the high energy queen as well. That was actually some good focus fire there from Drager, but the queens are going to be pushing him away. The spore crawlers have started Valdez, like he said. He's only built 5 of them, so dropping some of these tumors. No transfusions going down though. Like honestly, if the air army, like the armada here, the golden armada for Drager starts growing, then you know, this can spiral out of control, but Erik shuts down the 3rd base at least, and now he's sort of cemented his position outside the natural of these spores.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. You have to take this seriously, as ridiculous as it kind of looks at this point. It's like, oh yeah, it's just 4 carriers, right? And then 4 carriers become 6 carriers.
And then 8, and then, you know.
And it's like, well, I had 5 spore crawlers. Where did they go?
Where did my bait, like, and the game just slips out of hand, and then even a Void Ray coming in, not controlling it, does pop the prismatic alignment, but this is actually some good positioning from Drager. He's utilizing the high ground here to make sure that the queens cannot engage efficiently. The spore crawlers, of course, there's a bunch of transfusions going down, there's some hydralisks adding an extra DPS. But without Graviton Catapult, it was just like so much harder here for Drager to get the damage done. As you can see, like the interceptor numbers are very low.
Yeah. The thing is, they're very cheap now, but they still take time to make. So once you kill all of them and the army is on top of your carriers, there's really not much you can do. He's going to lose the Cybernetics core, no upgrade, and no more of that tech. Just going to back off to those spore crawlers, and that should be the end of Drager here in game number 1. There's just way too many anti-air units coming in, pummeling the Protoss player, not allowing him to get away with any cheeky sky toss play.
Well, you know, we say that about us, but the interceptors are building, they're building, they're building. It doesn't have the critical mass though, because I think he threw them away a little too early. Fun game, though, to say the least. Like the Hydras are even funneling through here. Sandwich between the
One by one. Here they come. Off the creep, trying to snipe Void Ray after Void Ray, as those are the ones really doing the damage at this point, as the carriers have run out of interceptors, and Drager just refuses to leave this one. He's like, nah, I have a chance. My carriers aren't dying.
I mean, he's got 43 workers, so... But yeah, okay, now the Nexus is going to fall. Erik is just...
Here come the rest of the Hydras too, so that should be the end of game number 1. Bit of a fun one there on Overgrowth. Probe's getting into it.
Yeah, they want part of this action
GG.
as well. There we have it. Erik picks up game number 1. Valdez, that was odd.
Yeah, that was odd.
Right? That's
that was not the game I was expecting. I knew it was going to be different. You know, I wasn't sure if these guys were going to be playing 100% seriously, if they were going to be, just going for all-ins or just trying crazy stuff. It seems like Drager was the one trying crazy stuff, whereas Erik is like keeping his dignity. He's like, nah, I can, I still want to win some games, right? I can beat Erik at least, right? Well, rather Drager at least, right? And he has proven that here so far.
I thought you made a really good point, by the way, that you have to take it seriously. Sky toss. I think it's sort of the similar thing with like when you see a bunch of Mutalisks pop. You're like, I'm not going to react too heavily to this. I'm just like, whatever, then 30 mutas all of a sudden.
Or you warp in like 4 stalkers underneath the mutas. You're like, yeah, this should take care of it. They shoot air, right? And then they all die. And
exactly. And then all of a sudden, like, everything spirals out of control.
There goes all of my mining at that base. And, there goes another base. And
then all of a sudden,
I'm going to rage quit the game. I don't want to be in this anymore.
Yeah, dude. It's...
Yeah.
Yeah, you just summed up my entire ladder experience.
I take it you play Protoss?
I did play Protoss. What about
Okay.
you? What are you? I've never
There you
asked
go.
you this.
I used to play Protoss, but then I switched to Terran for Legacy of the Void. So now I'm a dirty Terran player, and now it's OP. So
Terran is looking quite good.
Do you think Terran is going to win the entire tournament?
Putting me on the spot, Brendan.
Well, I mean,
I think so, actually.
Yeah.
I think so. No, maybe not. I think, depending on how tomorrow's groups go, because Group C is full of really good Zergs. We've got Alaza, Scarlet,
yeah.
you know, some, and then I don't know how things are going for Nacho, but he was one of my favorites to.
You might want to join the game here.
Oh, yeah,
there you go.
Thank you very much, man. You've got my back.
Yeah, I got you.
But,
it helps that I'm looking directly at your monitor.
Yeah,
too.
like I was actually, because I'm experiencing like we're kind of looking at each other's.
Yeah.
From time to time.
For sure. I'm gonna say ready in acrylic again. Here we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ready.
Valda's actually changed his keyboard on accident to Russian, so he's kind of just trying to decipher.
Yeah, I don't know how to change it back, and I can't Alt Tab.
I'll let them know that we're ready as well.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, man, for me, Nacho was one of my favorite guys to between TY and Maru to take the whole tournament. But thus far, in the games that I've seen at least, he's not been looking good at all.
Hey, it seems like he's having a rough time on his first day in China. And hate to say it, but you only get one day in your group stage, right? If you don't perform on that one day, then you're just not going to move on. So no matter if he was going to be ready a little bit later on in the tournament, it does not matter at this point. So we are going to be jumping into game number 2. And it is going to be on Whirlwind for the first time on stream all day. So I hope you guys enjoy. Down here in the bottom left, the red Zerg player up 1 game. It is Erik. Erik, a name almost as unique as my former caster named Brendan.
Down in the bottom right, his opponent. It is going to be the blue Protoss. It is Drager pulling out the crazy 2-base carrier build there on Overgrowth. Not working out in his favor, obviously. But here we are, man. I'm a huge fan of Overgrowth. I've always loved this map. Like, from the first day that we had it back in, like, 2012. No, late 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite maps. And it's, to me, it's sort of like Frost.
One of those just really standard maps.
Yeah, I love it. It's
very, very fair and balanced, and also just a good fun map to watch.
Arguably though, like if you get the cross spawns and Zerg are really gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Because they've got so much space.
Oh, you're talking about Frost then, right?
But both things, both Frost and Whirlwind.
Oh, because you said Overgrowth before.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought you were talking about Overgrowth.
No,
I'm like, Overgrowth is a great map. You're like, wow.
I actually don't. I'm not a huge fan of Overgrowth, man. Like Ravager Roach all-ins.
I was agreeing with you. I thought we were on the same page, but I guess not.
I'm so sorry, Brendan. Well, it does look like it was a hatch first opening there from Erik, which kind of makes sense on this map. Whereas on the other side of things, Drager went for the Nexus first into 2 gateways. So just pretty common builds to see on a map of this size. And then the third hatchery going down as well.
The chase is on, but he's too late. Just gets to scout it. And both these players scouted each other immediately. The probe went in the right direction over here, and the Overlord went directly to the natural of Drager on the bottom right side. So early scouts for both players, although it is going to be not so easy for Erik to get a scout of the main. But of course, when you do go Nexus first, most of your buildings start at the front.
Yeah, one thing as well worth to mention is that we'll probably see the Parlon, of course, go down in the wall to sort of just complete things there. So he's just got the 1 hex to worry about to put the unit in. And then it's quite common for a lot of Protoss players to put their tech, like the Stargate or Twilight Robo, in the natural as well. But it doesn't look like that's what it's going to be. He uses a supply that he gets from the Nexus instead, goes for the double Adepts. And I really like this. Nexus first into double Adept. I think it's a little old-fashioned, because most Zergs now, they will have like a small number of Lings ready to deal with exactly this kind of pressure.
Yeah.
But, let's see what he can do.
And you can see that the Overlord moves because he sees the double gate, so he's like, oh, okay, you're going to put on a bit of pressure. So he already gets that scouting information. He wants to see the follow-up, or maybe just use a second Overlord a little bit later to scout the front. As you were saying, kind of has to be at the front, and it is going to be a Twilight Council. He's not going to see that for a while. So kind of questionable that he does move this into the main.
And pulled him out quite far, honestly. Like a little further than he needed to, perhaps. But first Adepts showing up now in the third base. He had 2 more out on the map, and as we saw there from Erik, he actually had a decent number of Zerglings in the production tab. So this is, of course, to try to deal with this. Oh, struggling to get us around. Some good microwave from Drager, and he will make it out of there. So, you know, if he can regroup and get all of his guys together, then 4 Adepts, you know, quite powerful. You clean up these Zerglings, that's all of the Zerg map control gone.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Neeby build, if you will.
Yeah.
Lots of Adepts, resonating glaives.
Only thing missing is like that, the warp prism, right?
Will that be coming out here? We do just see another gate.
Is he using his Twilight Council into double Stargate?
Okay.
With the delayed gas as well. There's the resonating glaives. Interesting build choice here from Drager.
I don't really understand it, to be honest.
No.
You know, like it
confused.
just doesn't make too much sense. It's going to be scouted. I believe he scouted the main, at least. Let me just double check that. No, he has not scouted the 2 Stargates, but he does scout this. And it's kind of interesting because he shows it so obviously. He's like, okay, I'm going for resonating glaives. Like, this Overlord can't see how far along the upgrade is, but he only starts it when he knows the Overlord is about to see it. So he's trying to convince Erik here that he is going for only resonating glaives.
Yeah, another thing as well worth mentioning is, like, if Erik clicks the gases in the natural, you know, they were taken so much later, there's not really any indication that, you know, I'm teching very heavily. Like, the double Stargate requires you to go up to those 4 gases.
He's just being really tricky right now.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
absolutely.
he's doing.
This is like, if I was in Erik's position, I'd be like, okay, you're doing some sort of Adept-based, like a Warp Prism pressure play or like an Adept all-in, because he's not going for the super fast gas. But instead he's going up to that third base. He starts 2 Oracles, goes to 2 more. Oh man, is this man been inspired by Mystery, the Chinese Protoss? There's an Adept there in the wall-off, however. Drager is holding back on those Oracles. He doesn't want to reveal them just yet. Dude, the big party reveal is going to be when 6 Oracles zoom into your main and just snipe your main hatchery.
The has build, man. I mean, he has to see them as he goes up that ramp, I assume. He does have a Hydralisk Den on the way, and some spores already made out here. Well, looks like maybe just 1 for safety.
This brings me back because, have you seen Mystery?
Mystery?
Yeah, the Chinese Protoss?
No, actually,
no. I think he's the guy who sort of inspired Haas to go for that, because this was a game on Vanny Research Station, a little bit of a blast from the past in GPL, where he just banked up like 7 Oracles, popped into his natural, killed the hatchery, went into his main, killed the hatchery. There were like 3 spores. He didn't give a damn. And look at this, like 4. He's just going to absolutely annihilate these drones, dude.
Goodbye mineral line. I mean, that's just totally gone. He's only going to be able to save maybe 6 of those, 7. And the Oracles will eventually run out of energy, but let's see how many he made in total. Okay, just 4. And these Lings at the front really not getting much done. The Baneling's not able to get the connects off creep and without speed. He is about to finish speed.
Yeah, so, I mean, is he going to stick with his composition, though? We've only seen +1 melee upgrades. He's now getting the ranged one. It's about halfway done. The Oracles still have an opportunity to do damage. I mean, the damage these guys do is insane if you get the right number.
It's just so fast.
Yeah,
you know?
the DPS is really high. But I want to say that I feel that, as fun as it is, Drager has misused the potential a little bit there.
Yeah.
He was like a little ineffective with the energy spending. I think he could have like targeted the Queen in the natural, maybe popped a couple of drones as well. But he's going back up into those carriers. He really wants to play that Sky Toss, man.
And I'm sure that Erik knows this is on the way. I mean, he saw him rush it in game number 1. It's a very common army composition nowadays against Zerg. I mean, he's already making a bunch of Hydras here. Would not be surprised if, knowing there's already at least 2 Stargates, that this is a pretty good follow-up for the Protoss.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A couple of Banelings roll into the third base. Only 2 probes going down, so, you know, good split there from Drager. This game is becoming a lot more interesting, Brendan, I must say.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be some kind of all-in from Drager, perhaps, but then it turned into something much more complicated than that. And we're up to 4 base versus 4 base. This is, of course, not done yet. The Ling's going to try to bring some units over. This
is actually so funny to watch. 4th base does get scattered finally. and the Adepts will push that away. But one thing that I really like, you know, Drager, he has maintained these Oracles. Dude, the tagging potential is insane. He's going to just keep eyes on Erik's army forever.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, when you keep 4 Oracles alive, tags for days.
Literal days, Brendan. I don't think that... I think you'll have like an infinite energy of... like an infinite cycle of energy.
Yeah, I think he should.
Like on those 4 Oracles.
Yeah. We do have Templar Archives on the way, too. Obviously, Storm, very good against only Hydras. Could go for a mix of some Archons in there as well. Very gas-intensive. Either of those compositions are, of course.
But I mean, he's going to have the 4th base soon, so just grab the gases on that. I love the fact that Drager is actually cannoning up his bases. This is something that we don't see all too often. Like a lot of Protoss players, most Protoss players at the higher levels are very efficient with their spending, but you will always start banking some of those minerals, like when you're doing this sort of build. So going for the cannons, just to safeguard himself versus any big counterattacks, really liking this.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's just fantastic because your carriers are going to be slow. And if you want to survive, like in the past, we had seen carrier builds on 3 bases with like 5 cannons at the top, or rather, I guess it was Tempest builds in the past.
Yeah.
But you just make a line of cannons, and you're like, okay, I'm going to invest in this so that I can get to a composition that you cannot beat, and I'm confident in. And this is kind of, you know, a little bit after the fact, these cannons, but still a very good idea for sure.
It's just like a good mineral dump.
Yeah.
At this point in time. Well, anyway, these Oracles still there tagging things. Mothership is soon going to be finishing up. Storm also coming on in. Another use, of course, of the High Templar would be to feed back Vipers, because that's how, you know, that's what Zerg can do. They use the static defense, the Vipers, the Queens, and then, you know, an addition of Corruptors perhaps. But this is a big move from Erik. He's got these Banelings and the Hydralisks moving up to this completely undefended 4th Nexus. The Mothership shows up with all of these carriers, and, well, he will be able to shred through the Grand Army, but will he be able to kill off these units quickly enough? Great Storm there.
The Storms are fantastic. I can't even really see how many Hydras are still left underneath that, but they just got absolutely shredded in that fight. Able to take out the Mothership and perhaps 3 carriers, and that's about it. And he lost a big chunk of his army.
5 carriers actually died, Brendan, in total in this game. So
wow. I guess it was 5 in that
It's hard
fight,
to see when they're all on top of each other and cloaked.
Yeah.
I didn't even actually have an accurate count on the number of carriers there, but see, these cannons, they're buying so much time here for Drager. Like, imagine if he just simply didn't have them. The Hydras could just easily get into that mineral line and kill all of the workers. But now he's forced to hightail it out of there. Erik is actually in a little bit of a tough spot, I want to say.
A bind, a stasis.
Oh, yeah, literally in a stasis.
And only Hydras at this point against, well, he's only got 1 High Templar. Would like to see some more Storms here. That was really the key. I don't think mass carriers at this point against mass Hydra is going to be that good. Those Hydras with their high DPS can really shred the Interceptors out of the sky. But I suppose if you get up to like 16 carriers, then maybe it's just too much.
The critical mass, like once you hit the critical mass with carriers, it's absolutely insane. And then, you know, bear in mind it's also going to be off creep. This is not a fight that Erik wants to take. Moving up a ramp into photon overcharge cannons. So I'm glad that he backs off. But again, like, we're seeing the utility in use here for Drager just tagging this army forever. On the other side of things, though, Erik is expanding up to the north. And I think Whirlwind is... It's a little harder to split this map in half, but you'll sort of see these people move into the quadrants of the map. So it's going to be the top right, obviously, there for Drager, whereas Erik going to the top left.
I mean, it's like technically splitting it in half. It's pretty hard to do. Lots of bases here. So we are going to see Erik coming in from 2 sides. And this is good. You know, the carriers are very slow, so definitely a decent idea. He's going to snipe 1 carrier for free, essentially, there. And a nice bit of damage with these Hydras. The other ones are on the run, but he keeps a lot of them alive. You can see he's still maxed out, but still no answer for the Hydras over here at the 4th base.
Now this Nexus is going to fall. Recalls, but it's not going to be in time. Nexus falls, and even moves in for the kill on a couple of these air units. Focus fires down 1 carrier, picks up 1. perhaps even 2, and now he's going to get out of there with the remainder of the Hydras. At the same time, he's going to strike towards the natural expansion, but the cannons, the carriers,
the bees,
way too much. The bees, not
Get away
the bees.
from the bees.
You're right. The interceptors are like bees, like angry bees coming out of their hive.
Yeah. But that was a really nice move. He snipes the Nexus, gets a couple of carriers plus some extra bonus, gets another base over here, and now we have essentially a 3-base Protoss once again with those carriers. And getting on top of that, but the storms are massive once again. And you can see the supply plummet of Erik. He doesn't really have that many more Hydras left over. Just 21, and they're not all here.
You know what they say?
What do they say?
Bring an umbrella when it's on a stormy night, but if there's lightning, you don't want to use it, right?
Yeah.
Lightning strikes and...
That's a good point, actually.
Ton of damage there, but now Drago, of course, he was running out of money, Valdez, because the main should be dry natural, was looking very skimp as well. Skint. On the top right, he's also going to be losing another base. This is turning into like a weird base trade because the supplies are very even, but Drago has the advantage in the army.
Yeah, I don't think he can really, he can't be losing Hydras here, but what else is he going to do? Just keep him in the main? He, has to try to escape with them. I think he should be beginning to take more bases, perhaps, and
he doesn't have any
get
minerals.
some more tech. But, yeah, as you're saying, he just doesn't really have enough money because he's just trying to make as many Hydras as possible. But now you're not against 1 High Templar anymore. You're against 7. And all of them have at least 1 Storm.
Yeah, this is... Okay, so he's... never mind, there's recall, so...
Yeah.
It's just like Drago goes in, kills a couple of the tech buildings, recalls back home. He's like, this is the Void Rays and a couple of carriers here by the cannons in the 3rd. Actually another position that I don't think Erik can actually efficiently break. And there's even money now for an additional 4 or 5 High Templar. That he just adds that to the defensive composition back home. Erik, I think we're actually looking at a 1-1 here, Valdez.
It looks like it, yeah. Somehow, some way. Carriers are very strong, and on a giant map like Whirlwind, you're going to be able to get away with it. The Hydra timing was not as effective as Erik had hoped it would be, and now he's just kind of lost for what to do. He's out on the map. All of his Hydras are split up. He cannot defend. He's losing base by base. He's going to try to force a recall, perhaps, but there is a decently sized army back at home. Can't even really fight against that.
Oh no, so bear in mind these Adepts have resonating glaives, of course, so they're going to be doing some decent damage. No upgrades, but yeah, he's going to force these Hydras away. And if Erik loses these, then that's going to be roughly half of his army gone. His army supply is actually so much lower than that of Drago, who's up at 126. Erik, man, this is what a game, Valdez.
Yeah, it's really getting to the crazy late stage here, and only Hydras are not the answer against this. He needed to either tech up, decide that he was going late game. Oh, he might be able to catch some of these High Templar in the back. A bunch of storms go down, but only 1 High Templar remains. Is he going to be able to get these Hydras underneath? No, it doesn't look like it. Another last storm there, as the last High Templar does go down. But this is his last chance, but it's not enough. GG, Drago is going to take game number 2, and we have a series.
I'm lost for words, man. What did we witness?
Yeah,
that was so.
Not what I expected.
That was like a sick fake, man. I have to that's such a meta fake.
The meta fake with the resonating glaives.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, look at me, I'm
and
Neeb,
the delayed
but
gas
not,
as well. Yeah. So that was actually that was a cool game, Valdez.
Yeah. It kind of messed with the timing of the Zerg because the Zerg was never really able to go for a quick Hydra timing and really get over there and punish a 3rd, punish a 4th, or really do any critical damage because by the time he realized what was going on, there were already 3 carriers out, 3 more on the way, and across a big map like that, even with the Hydra upgrade, it's going to be hard. You're fighting up a ramp too. There's a bunch of cannons. The Protoss essentially gets there for free. I'm not even sure that he had to go for that fake. It was cute, but Whirlwind, a pretty hard map there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like if you don't find any damage in the early game, regardless of matchup on that map, the greed generally outweighs the strength of going for that aggression. Because it's just the nature of the map. But 1-1 is the current scoreline.
My keyboard turned back to English. I don't know how that happened.
You are a
I'm back.
you're a magician, Valdez.
Yeah, I'm a man of many languages. Apparently,
This is true.
English and Russian. Yeah, half Russian for you guys who didn't know.
But yeah, so 1-1 is the current scoreline. We had no idea what to expect coming into this series. Obviously, with that game 1, I thought it was just going to be a stomp. I thought Erik was just going to like run him over there on Whirlwind.
Yeah, it's kind of what I expected out of the BCQD Rex series, where BCQD just smashed him in game 1, and we were like, okay, I guess this is going to be quick. And then it went to a really long 3-game series where BCQD barely won. We were like, oh wow, okay, this is more interesting than we thought. So
those are the best kinds of games.
Yeah.
We're going to jump into map number 3 in this series, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on Daybreak with our first player down in the bottom left. In the blue, it is going to be none other than Erik.
There he is, and he is up against the red Protoss in the top right. It is Drager from South Africa fighting his way back on the back of the carriers. And we're going into another pretty big map here on Daybreak. It's not going to be Nexus first this time. Maybe Drager wants to mix it up.
It's an interesting time to be alive, Alders. A very interesting time. I think like if Drager makes it out to the can he make it? Can he even make it out of the group?
We're not sure because we don't really know what the standings are at this point.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Okay, if Drager makes it out of the group, he's gonna be my idol. Okay, because that game.
your carrier idol.
Yeah, dude, it's so sick.
So sick.
So sick.
You and I and our terrible French accents there.
If Todd is watching, he's like cringing really hard. Like next time he sees either of us, he just punches us.
Yeah. Well, this probe was over here, and he could have blocked the hatchery, but he decided not to, being a bit lazy on the job. Just going to be annoying, patrol a bit in the base. At least just get the scout down.
Gas opening here, by the way, for Drager, so with the first 2 lings on the way. Now, like you pointed out previously, Drager obviously not going to be going for that Nexus first, which I think, of course, is a good call on a map like Daybreak, because walling off is a little tricky on this map. As you can see, you've got these 2 potential openings, so like you have to make sure that you put down your 3rd building with a lot of precision.
Yeah.
But the lings would also be getting in, and right before you get anything out, really. So just playing it safer, more standard. That's the first adept on the way. Nothing too odd right now, Valdez.
Yeah. We just do have the first scouts coming out now in this game. Looks like 4 lings going to be spread out here. The probe actually survives somehow on the map, and there's a Twilight Council being made in the main. And it's back over here, so let's see. It looks like he just wants to block over here, but he does want to hide that Twilight Council tech for quite a while. I don't think there's anything going to be proxy. This should just be a hatch block.
It does look like it. This is could throw down the pylon now. He's got the minerals for it. No, he's just going to get out of there. That was
a gentleman.
Gentleman's agreement there that we're going to play it fairly straightforward. But okay, that's the Twilight Council finishing up. Robo goes down, so should see a Dark Shrine also added into this.
He's got enough gas. More than enough, and there it is.
Well, I hope so. There are 2 ways that you can do this, right? Either you go in with the DTs, just as Dark Templar, or you make them right into Archons. And that's like a question about taste, really. Like, what do you prefer? Because some people just sort of think that, there's no way I can do any damage with the DTs, whereas others, actually stick with them. Try to see if there's any sort of opportunities. Because some Zergs, sometimes they delay the detection. Like with a little later lair, don't have the spores in position or in time.
Yeah, I think it's usually beneficial to just check with the DTs, because even if he makes 1 spore or 2 spores, you can maybe snipe a couple of drones and then just ferry them out of there and then morph them into Archons. You know, warp in a couple more DTs, get that double Archon drop going. We did see that a bit earlier on from Harstem against Nurture. It worked out well for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Even some people are like crazy enough to go into like 8 DTs or 4 Archons. Can be really, really powerful actually. But Ling's being a little annoying at the front. Overlord comes on in. Did he? I think he got Overlord speed.
Yes, he did.
Ah, okay.
Going to see everything that's happening here.
Well, right as that Warp Prism also pops. So he has to start preparing. There we go. Spore Crawlers go down right away. Roach Warren also a reaction to this. Is it going to be in time, though? He's adding in more queens as well, because, I mean, he's just scrambling to assemble some sort of defense, because dealing with these Archons that obviously going to be coming out, going to be very difficult with only Zergling.
Yeah, needs something here, and 4 DTs is going to be the answer. There is a Spore over here at the third base, but it is not ready yet, and only 2 queens for the defense. What is he going to go for here? Is it going to be the hatchery or the Spore? There's no drones over here. Looks like it is going to be that Spore, and the lair is only now starting, so that is a dead hatchery. Goodbye.
Oh man, there's not even any creep connecting the natural and the third base, so if he even tries to move down a Spore Crawl onto the low ground, it's not going to be in time. Hatchery falls, and he saves the DTs. Oh,
no, he
loses
doesn't.
the Warp Prism. Cast a curse, Valdez.
I don't even know why he went back to pick those up. There were too many queens. I feel like that was a bit risky. It was a really nice block by Erik, actually, over here to block those DTs from getting over to the edge. But, I mean, you got to be careful, man. You just got so much worth out of taking that hatchery, and then you just lost 4 DTs and a Warp Prism. You gave it right back to him.
Yeah, so, like, the loss of that Warp Prism basically shuts down any options here for Draeger to get a third base of his own safely. Now, sure, yeah, he can add in some more units, but as you can see, like, the Zerglings are already out on the map here for Erik. We have Immortals on the way and another Warp Prism. But that was definitely the equalizer that Erik was looking for.
Yeah, it definitely was. And with the follow-up of a Baneling Nest, too, I like that. He knows that the potential charge follow-up is going to be great, and will be prepared for that. Does add some Roach upgrades as well.
I'm thinking, like, come on, Draeger, kill that Overlord. He's seeing everything. Like, he's seeing the research on the Twilight. He's seeing, like, all the production coming out as well.
Yeah, he's going to know that's not Blink at this point. And seeing this composition, he's like, yep, okay. Getting all the information in the world. This is blocked off now totally, so no sign of a third base anytime soon. And he's got to be careful. I mean, he is going to be able to block this off, but the Cybernetics core taking a bit of damage. Going down to about half health here. He's going to have to block that off once again. Uh-oh.
He's got the money for it, but the loss of tech is going to be significant. The Lings get in. They will get a good wrap around here on the first Adept. That is going to fall. Second one also. The fourth base, however, for Erik, under attack. Very few units for Draeger, but I do believe they have a Warp Prism for support. And yeah, there it is. Getting another Archon as well. The Lings cleaned up in the natural expansion. It is wide open, bear in mind. But the main issue is actually going to be this frontal attack.
Yeah, this is basically what Draeger is hoping to end the game on. I mean, this is a very low economy game, right? It's just 2 base all-in type of stuff versus a Zerg that had his third base killed is not even breaking 50 drones. So pushing forward here, he's got to be careful not to get his army force fielded. I suppose he's very, very confident to just take this. He does have a lot of units here for the defense. I think we got to see Draeger going for another warp in, perhaps of more DTs to get another Archon. There it is.
I'm curious though, Valdez, was there any Overseer with the Zerg army there? There's actually no Overseer, so, you know, if he just takes the fight away from the Spore Crawlers, just having one or two DTs in that fight can just do so much damage. Yeah. But here we go. This positioning is actually really bad for the Zerg. The Zealots get straight up there. The Archons are going to be blocking each other just a little bit. Spore Crawlers not going to be doing anything really. Those Immortals man doing a ton of damage as well. But he's lost the Zealot buffer now, and Draeger, is he overstepping his boundaries? The Corrosive Bile going down, the Warp Prism falls, and that is the pickoff that he was looking for.
That was a really nice pickoff. It really, really was. And if all of these Immortals were attacking the Roaches during the entirety of that fight, I feel like he would have been in a great spot, but as it stands, they were kind of just attacking the hatchery. Look at the hatchery health. He doesn't want to be killing the hatchery at this point. He should have been focus firing on all the Roaches and the Ravagers, but now all he's got is this. No way to reinforce his army as well. The Zerg doesn't have much either, and is down to 38 drones, but, I mean, as long as he can group up here, perhaps, and maybe even fight with those Broodlings that pop out. A very, very close fight, even after all of that.
What a weird game again, Valdez. I mean, this is odd, to say the least. Super low economy games, like you said, 31 probes to 38 drones. But another Link counterattack here from Erik. Smart, very smart to set those up.
Yeah,
no third base. Obviously, he's got the Overlord in position, forcing defensive Warpins back at home as well. I mean, Draeger's not done. He's continuously pushing on.
Yeah, and this is a pretty strong army here. Lots of weak zealots, but if he can group this all up, I feel like he should be in a decent spot. It looks like he lost some of his Archons and his Immortals somehow on the retreat. And also did go down to 31 probes, so not the biggest economy here at this point either. Just barely, desperately trying to wait until those Ravagers pop and just trying to kite those Zealots as well as possible here is Erik.
The Zealot numbers are a little scary, so you have to respect them, but this is a great move, moving into the choke. Corrosive Vial also doing a lot of damage.
Ooh.
And, well, there's nothing more here now for Draga. He's lost basically all of the supporting units. And
one Zealot, one Immortal, and one Archon walk up a Zerg ramp. I don't like the ending of that story, that's for sure. And then they cried, David Kim, please. Well, Erik is going to end this game on the back of this. Only Chargelets are not going to do too well against Speed Roaches and Ravagers. And Drager once again with his Drager fantasy GG timing. See what he can do here on the choke with only Chargelets.
Man, this is such a fun series, I have to say. Super explosive, I guess is a way to put it.
Yeah.
And not in the... I think I've misused the word explosive a little bit because I use it to sort of describe like when a player explodes in performance. Like, yeah, it's so good. But it's just been like...
So you wouldn't describe either of these players today in that way?
Oh, no, don't...
Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no. I put myself on the spot there, man. What I meant to say is just like, this game has been all over the place. You know, we've seen pretty much every single part of the tech tree here from Draga's side of
I think the scientific term for that is Clown Fiesta.
Clown
That's the one that I've heard a lot
That's a good one.
Nowadays in esports.
Yeah,
so
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Good way to describe this game. Single Zealot left, another final hurrah.
GG. Okay, so Erik is going to take that win and take the 2-1. Well done to him and to Brazil.